Hello and welcome to How to Run a Successful Business and Still Have a Life. My name is Stacey Morgan and today's episode is brought to you by my one-on-one coaching program, Simply You and I. You can get personalized business coaching sessions with me. You just need to go to simplystaceymorgan.com. How are you? Today's going to be a really laid back, like really cruisy episode. I'm so glad that you're here and thank you so much for joining me because it's episode 1 in our 3-part series of my favorite things. Yay. And today we're going to be talking about something super fun, which is the favorite things I'm binging. So strap in, it's going to be a really good time. I'd like to start by talking about Sex and the City. And I'm talking about the original Sex and the City because I don't know about you, but I'm one of these people that really cannot be productive if there's not background noise. So that's kind of just part of me and my personality. I love to have just voices, action, things going on. The silence I cannot deal with. In saying that, it doesn't necessarily always help if that background noise is music, because being a dancer, I am constantly choreographing or need to move or need to dance or need to create when there's music playing. So music doesn't kind of relax me. It kind of brings me into work mode. So instead, what I love to have on in the background when I'm trying to, tidy up, when I'm cooking, when I'm getting something productive done, when I'm just pottering around, or when I'm, get to a brand new place and go into a hotel room, I like to turn the TV on or to put something on my phone. And the thing that is my go-to is old episodes of Sex and the City. I don't know if that's just me or whether that's you as well, but there is something really calming about these characters that I've known for so long and their storylines that I have known for so long and so many of their words, which I can say by heart. There is just something about this show. And for me, it's the rewatch is not really aging terribly well. It's kind of a little bit cringy, but I still love it anyway. And speaking of cringy, but loving it anyway, I want to talk about And Just Like That, the Sex and the City reboot. I find watching this the biggest kind of bittersweet, heart torn into two places, two different sides of the coin experience. Is it just me or do you feel this as well? Because part of me loves looking at it. I love the characters. I love the fashion. I love New York. I just love it. And then so many things happen that I'm like, oh, cringe. I can't. I absolutely can't. So I'm hoping that that's not just me and that it feels like that's kind of a universal experience with anyone else that I talk to or anything I read. I feel like everybody is watching it every episode religiously as soon as it comes out. And of course, there hasn't been a new episode in a couple of months now. And this is, going to seem kind of, we're in between 2 seasons. So you've probably kind of forgotten that cringing, like really visceral feeling you had when you were watching it because it's been a little while. But for me, I would so look forward to it. And then at the same time, I would watch it and go, yeah. Let's take Miranda, for example. Miranda, when you do the rewatch, and this is why I wanted to talk about the original season as well, or the original 6 seasons, as well as now watching the reboot. When you watch the original, Miranda is the person that says what the audience is thinking. Miranda is the person that, is fighting against so many things that that the other girls are kind of, going up against in terms of things that they should be doing or things that they should be saying or things they should be wearing. Miranda is kind of that breath of fresh air, that stand up for yourself, that, have good boundaries. She really comes in and I think taught me so much when I was growing up in those really formative years, watching her going, oh no, I can stand up for what I want and I can set my own boundaries and live my own life. Look at Miranda go. And then the reboot just has her flailing about, not really having a great sense of self. And I think that's been part of the cringeworthy factor. So in the original, she was so sure of herself and so sure of who she was and what she wanted in this world. And she, went for what she wanted. And the rebooted version of Miranda, like Miranda grown up, is like, doesn't know what she wants or what's going on or what's wrong in her world or what's right. And so many of her scenes are just absolutely heartbreaking, watching her sit on the couch and eat ice cream with Steve, and Steve's having the best time ever and she's like completely miserable, but they don't have these conversations like adults throughout the relationship. She kind of just waits until she's met somebody else and then springs it on him, and he's in complete shock because he's quite happy and loves sitting on the couch and eating ice cream, and does think that that's the bee's knees, and she's completely unfulfilled. So it's so cringeworthy in that fact. I, as a Peloton rider, found it completely cringeworthy and offensive that Mr. Big was riding a Peloton when he had a heart attack, or had just ridden a Peloton when he had a heart attack. So that was really offensive. And, Heath and I joke about that now at home because, we're on the Peloton all the time. But the whole killing off Mr. Big thing, I understand now, like perfect timing, and it all worked out well because he was about to be cancelled anyway. But it just, I was not okay with that. That the way that episode was beautifully done with them, playing the records and cooking together in the kitchen and having a dance, and it was just heartbreaking. I also take offense to how long it took Carrie to stand in the doorway and just look at him and scream without actually calling an ambulance or doing anything productive during that time. Did that bug anybody else, or was that just me just waiting and waiting and saying, come on, Carrie, anytime now? Just gutting and devastating. The cringeworthy continues when it comes to Charlotte, because Charlotte has, I feel like Charlotteness has just increased. Charlotte is so much more Charlotte than Charlotte's ever been. And what I mean by that is her, the things that used to be cute about her, the things, she was very, straighty 180. She dressed a certain way. She had a certain lifestyle. That was very her. They've kind of upped the ante on that with her. And now that she's doing, all of her charlotting, especially while she's raising two young girls, I find a bit of it like a bit cringy when I'm listening to the way that she's parenting them and, trying to maintain this completely held together lifestyle. And I'm thinking, what were you doing when these kids were young? Because my life is chaos. And you've only got two girls there to raise, and you don't seem to have any chaos in your world. And I wonder what that part of the series would have looked like, because this part of the series here, it seems that, kind of nothing has changed from when the kids were babies once we first saw them until now. She's still trying to make everything perfect and every element of her world perfect. The episode where she's hunting around for people to join the perfect dinner party because she wants to be friends with these perfect people. I'm just like, oh, okay, Charlotte. I preferred it when it was just, her wanting to have the right shoes to match her skirt, to match her handbag, to match her headband. But now it's kind of a bit like, oh. And Carrie, I guess we need to talk about Carrie because, she's the star. I know a lot of people have, like, Carrie is really controversial. A lot of people have a lot of opinions about Carrie. A lot of people are not big fans of Carrie Bradshaw. I've always been a really big fan of Carrie Bradshaw. I love that episode where she's fashion roadkill, where she wears the fabulous, underwear with the big blue jacket. I love the episode where she's in Paris and she's in the fabulous big dress. I do adore Carrie. And I think what they've done with her has been really beautiful and really just given her an opportunity to grieve and to find a new version of herself. I love the idea that she went back to the old apartment because, for nostalgia purposes for the audience, but also for her in trying to reframe what her new world is like and what, who she's going to be in this new phase, in this new season. And when I say season, I mean season of her life, not season of the episodes of the TV show. Oh, that's right. It is a TV show. Sometimes when I'm talking about it, I forget that it's not actually real. But, we've just been in New York, Heath and I did the classic thing of walking down the streets that, would have been Carrie Bradshaw's streets and, taking a photo on the stoop that looks like it should be Carrie Bradshaw's stoop, even though it's all a set piece. It doesn't actually exist in New York itself. But, you find those streets and those doorways that look like they could play the part. And so that's always really fun. I took Heath to Fat Witch Brownies, which is where Carrie goes to get the brownies to then give to her neighbor that she was screaming at 2:00 in the morning. And rightly so. Can I just say, screaming at that neighbor for making noise on the stoop. But yeah, we went to that brownie store and had some of those brownies, and it was well worth the trip to the Chelsea market just to do that. But all of those little things are fun to do in New York, especially when you're reminiscing about the show. And I'd love to hear what you think as well. So, you know, are you somebody who longs for the old series, or does the old series now make you cringe? Do you love the new reboot, or do you think that's cringeworthy as well? When we were in New York, they announced that it had been picked up for season 2, and I did a little skip in the street. Like, I was really excited. So even though I have all these cringy things to say about it, it's, you know, it's like a car crash. I can't look away. I have to. It's not necessarily fantastic, but I still love and adore the characters, and love and adore the fact that they're giving it a second life. And who wouldn't want to see all the fabulous outfits and the fabulous things that they have to wear, and walking along the streets of New York? It's just a feast for my heart and my soul and my eyes as well. And I hope it is for you too. I should talk about what else I'm binging. At the moment, I'm binging Raw, which is that 8-part series about 8 different women. And it's very thought-provoking and fantastic. Nicole Kidman is in it. Simon Baker plays Nicole Kidman's husband in episode 2. Simon Baker is so gorgeous. In the first, at the start of that episode, she's doing her hair in the bathroom, and he walks in and says, "Hot date." And he looks so hot. And I was like, yeah, you. That's why she's doing her hair. Gosh. What else? Of course, I've talked before on the podcast about Ted Lasso and how much I adore Ted Lasso. And we are heading, you know, swiftly towards September when season 3 of Ted Lasso will be released. And of course, they only release it weekly. So there's going to be so much anticipation building around season 3 for Ted Lasso, which I absolutely adore and cannot wait for. I've recently gone back and watched and re-binged all of 30 Rock. Again, I did it in the lead up to going to New York because, you know, 30 Rock, Rockefeller Plaza, I'd be walking, you know, past those streets every day and, you know, singing the theme song. And it was a funny show. You forget when you don't see it for a little while exactly how hilarious it is. But if you haven't watched it in a little while, or perhaps it's a show that skipped by you and you didn't watch it at all, I do encourage you to go back to season 1. The earliest seasons are the best. It kind of goes through a lull. It comes good to get in the end, but it's such a funny show. So I encourage you to go back and check that out. And the other thing I've been binging has been Atlas of the Heart, which is what I'll be talking about next week in my second favorite things. It's a 3-part series. So we've talked today about binging things. Next week, we're going to be talking about what I'm reading. And then in the third week, well, you'll just have to wait and see. But I appreciate you taking this time for me to rant about Sex and the City in the form of the original seasons and the reboot. I appreciate you being here. I would love to know your opinions. Please weigh in. Pretty please weigh in. We'll put post up on my Instagram for you to jump in and tell us your opinions, because everybody has them when it comes to Sex and the City. If you aren't following me already on Instagram, please do it. I'm at Simply Stacey Morgan. And if you want to check out all of the great deals we have in terms of business coaching, get some one-on-one coaching for you and for your business in the form of some personalized one-on-ones, you can do so now by booking at simplystaceymorgan.com. If you love this episode, tag us, take a screenshot on your phone, stick it on your Insta story, tag me. I'm at Simply Stacey Morgan. And of course, to check out all the things that I'm doing and hear a lot more about business and marriage and motherhood, motherhood and making it in business, you can do so by going to simplystaceymorgan.com. I guarantee no Sex and the City content on the website there whatsoever. Have a wonderful week, and I will talk to you very soon.